Dualities of all kinds are found everywhere in nature. Hot and cold, light and dark, male and female. As cheesy as it is to say, you just can't have one without the other. The same could be said with happiness and unhappiness.
I mean, the concept is certainly true for me. The concept that you cannot know happy if you do not know very unhappy. The critically acclaimed Game of Thrones series, the House Starks say that winter is coming because they always remember why and what to prepare for. If you're happy, if you are just on cloud nine every day, what that causes you to do is to lose sight of what you are yourself aiming against. I think the people who are truly self-aware, they could make conjecture over what they're aiming for. The unfortunate part of that is that there's a lot of uncertainty in that. There's a lot of uncertainty aiming for things that I want to end world hunger. There's some uncertainty in that. Food prices, crop availability, is there a drought? All of these create significant problems into the uncertainty of aiming for something. But now you can definitely aim against something. You can aim against, yeah, I don't want to end up in this place.
A lot of things that you might think are bad turn out to be the best things that have ever happened to you. And in those moments, you have to keep perspective because you just might be surprised.
Let's say that you wanted to make the varsity cheerleading team and you didn't. And you're like, that's bad, but you don't know it's bad because maybe it's good because maybe through a sequence of events, you get something better that's actually better for you and you end up wanting it more. And because you don't have to waste time doing varsity cheer or something, you have more time to dedicate to that. I think that the idea that the definition of good is really changeable depending on your perspective, that makes me think that there's not a single real true bad thing in my life that I can think about as going through. I can say that in high school, I lost all my friends. In my mind, I sat alone at lunch, went home alone, didn't hang out with anyone. And that's how it felt to me in the moment. It felt like something bad. But at the same time, it wasn't that bad. Looking back, when I finally did decide to come out of my little slump and try to reach out and make a few authentic friendships, those really influenced me and really changed how I think today. And I think that when people go through things that in the moment fit their definition of bad, that is when they can maybe try to aspire to find something good, and that is what makes the good come. It's the idea that you're going to aspire to that.
In terms of bouncing back from negativity, I think that's one of the strongest lessons that a person can learn, is to not only anticipate when life won't necessarily go your way or when you'll hit your valleys, not just anticipate it, but be ready to confront it and embrace it. Life isn't always going to be something that makes sense.
No matter who you are, we have all been at the bottom. Now what I like to do is make a list of all the worst things that have ever happened to me and then compare that to a list of all the good things that would not have happened if it weren't for those bad things. When you take a second look, it might not even look like the same list because seemingly bad things of the past, for example, having trouble making friends growing up, might have led you to become the good friend that you are today.
I think I'm really into this idea, so I kind of feel that way about every negative moment, and it's hard to see in the moment, but especially last year, now that I'm reflecting on this long period where I was very depressed and I failed 2 classes, my whole life just unraveled. And of course, I wasn't sitting there at the time thinking oh, everything's gonna get so much better from here. But I do feel now that because that happened, I'm now so much more able to take control. And even on bad days now, I can say, at least I'm not where I was. At least it's not like that. And so, going through that was the worst thing that I've ever had to go through in my life. But I'm kind of glad that it happened because now everything is easier. It's so much easier for me to make art and do life. And it's just, I don't think that I'd be having as easy a time as I am right now if that hadn't happened.
When I first got to college here, I was a journalism major and very sure that that was going to be what I'd be doing. 2 years in, I figured out that it wasn't, and that I'd be switching to communication. And at the time, that was a huge, horrifying unknown. I deal with depression and anxiety still, and that was probably a perfect storm of just one of the lowest points of my life. And having to refine my career path and really consider that sort of thing has made me more aware of my strengths and weaknesses, and especially my weaknesses. And having a handle on what can break me down easier than other things keeps me more strong and able to stand on my feet when things start getting rough. In a lot of ways, I think the cracks in someone show the strengths on the inside glowing through.
If you're feeling bad, remember that all the bad things that are happening to you right now were meant to happen. Instead of running away from it, you should try instead to delve deeper inside that bad feeling and learn from it. Those lessons of the bad times you can use in the good times to make them even better.
Triumph and success is only a matter of organization. Things that are bad are usually very structural in nature, unless it's something that's just like an earthquake happened, or a volcano blotted out the sun on an island and forced people out of their homes, or there's a flood. Like, things that are bad, that humans can avoid, in a lot of ways are structural in nature. Those aren't going to go away. People need to understand that structure and then replicate it to use it for something that's good.
We all have our own unique challenges specific to ourselves. Nobody else but you will ever know how hard it is to overcome something. So, no use comparing our struggles to anyone else's.
I guess I think that like everybody has a worse thing that's ever happened to them, and like I don't think those can be compared, because like I had a really rough time in my life, but you know, I've never had to starve, and I've never, you know, my parents are still together and alive, and like that's something I couldn't imagine going through. But it's still the worst thing that ever happened to me. That's like my 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. And so somebody else's 10 could be like falling and scraping their knee on a bike, and you know, if that's your 10, then like congratulations, and I'm happy for you, but like that's still so terrible to them. Like, so I don't really think that we can like compare our pain with other people.
All I can say is, as of lately, I've learned that you have to keep moving forward, and you have to keep maintaining a perspective that you learn something, at least, even if you regret things. And if you're okay with that lesson, then maybe, you know, even better things will come to you.
Duality is reality, and reality doesn't allow you to give and take. If you want to experience the good in life, you better learn how to experience the bad too. And the more you try and ignore it, the more you're actually preventing your own happiness.